Howdy, y'all. Welcome to your step-by-step instructions on how to complete your historical perspective and point of view project. We will go one page at a time and talk about how to complete each one. Before I start on page one, though, I wanted to give you guys a couple of tips on how you can zoom in. This is especially useful if you've got a relatively small screen. First up, this little arrow right here, if you click on it, it will hide the menus and give you a little more space. Most of the time, you're not going to need what's on those menus, but in case you do, you can just click the arrow and they'll come right back. Also, it can be useful to work on this in full screen. To go to full screen, if you are using a PC, like a regular laptop, hit the F11 key. If you're using a Chromebook, so you take a look, this button on top of the Chromebook is the full screen key. So if I hit that, now I'm nice and zoomed in, and well, I've got a lot more space to work with. So page one is, about as simple as it gets. If we look over here at our checklist, there are three things we need to complete. Add your name. Well, click on the name box, and then you can just start typing. There's my name. And I'd like to go ahead and check this off now. Here's how you can check all these checkboxes. Go over to it, click on the checkbox, click on it again, which should highlight just that checkbox, then right click and pick the little check mark. If you've got a mouse, well, right clicking's easy. If you don't have a mouse, like if you're using the touchpad on a Chromebook, then simply use two fingers to click in on the Chromebook, and that should bring up the right click menu. So add your teacher. Oh, hey, I'll say I'm my own teacher here. Left click, right click, check. And finally, what period? I will say I'm in second period. Click, and then again, if you have a Chromebook, it's a two-finger click. If you're using a mouse, right click and check. And once you can honestly say you've done each of the instructions next to a checkbox, that's a way of telling you that you're done with that page. This box will have pretty much all the instructions you need on each page, and at the top of this box, there will always be a link up here which will take you to the correct portion of this video. You may well have actually come to this video by clicking on the link that's right up here. Okay, that's it for page one. I'll see y'all in just a second for page two. Okay, here we are on page two. Let's go through our checklist and figure out what to do. First up, listen to Mr. Murray read the two stories. This should be something that you've already done, but if you skipped over that, well, there's links to them right up here. The first story is called A Song for Feridun, and you can click on the link right here to go to YouTube and listen to it. The second story is Monocher Story, same thing. There's a link right here that will take you to the YouTube video of me reading that. So click, right click, check. Next, make your own copy of each story. I'm going to take myself out of full screen for just a second. To make your own copy for each story, all you have to do is click right on this link right here, and you'll get this screen that says Copy Document. Would you like to make a copy of A Song for Feridun? Click Make a Copy. And wait just a second for Google to do its magic. And now you have your very own copy of the story that you'll actually be able to edit. You'll do the exact same thing for the other story. And there we go. I now have my very own editable copies of these stories. So I will check this off right here. Right click, check. Okay. Using the key, which appears right on this page, replace the underlined words in your copy with the correct words. Do this for both stories. So, in A Song for Feridun, Every time you see the word Feridun, you should replace it with Iran. So it should be easy to find the words. They're both bolded and underlined. So if I click on this, I can instead type Iran. This is Feriduns, so I'll change that to Iran's, and so on. I would have to go through the entire story and replace all the Feridun. Every time that word comes up with Iran, then there's a few others. Naft was oil, so here's Naft, oil. Albion was Britain, and you just continue like this through the story and replace all of the instances of how it was originally, with the fake names, with the real actual name. You need to go through and do that for this complete story and for this complete story. Once you're done, click, right click, check. I, of course, did not finish, but you will, in fact, need to finish. Okay, finally, share a link to each of your corrected stories in this slide file. Well, there's an obvious place where you're going to put these two links. Here's how you create the links. So I'll do A Song for Feridun first. Over here, I'm going to click this big blue share button. When I do, first of all, right down here, I'm going to click on Change Link to Georgetown ISD. And then it will make a link that anyone in Georgetown ISD should be able to look at if I give them a copy of the link. Just click Copy Link, and then come back over here, click inside this box, and I need to paste the link in. I'm going to do that by hitting Control V. And there we go. There's a link to A Song for Feridun. I'll do the same thing for Monitor Story. Now, again, I haven't actually edited mine here, and you do need to edit yours first, but once you're done with that, click Share, click Change Link to Georgetown ISD, copy link, and come back here and paste it in. This time, I'll paste by right-clicking. Paste. There we go. Click, click, right-click, check. And I am done with page 2. Page 3's coming up next. Okay, now that we're on page 3, we're ready to talk about what's really at the heart of this project. When you're studying history and events of the past or current events that are going on right now, one of the most important things to think about is the point of view or the perspective that the person who's telling you brings to the way they tell the story. In those two stories I wrote, they are both completely accurate. Neither one has any lies in it, but they both actually talk about the exact same event from very different points of view. And I'd like you to reflect on that here, and hopefully it's something you'll be aware of moving forward whenever you look at other things like that. So you can choose. You can do an in-depth look at either story, A Song for Feridun or Monitor Story, or if you like, you can respond to both. If you want a tip, I might choose both. That way I had more to respond to, but it's up to you. So first instruction says, decide if you want to respond to one story or to both, and put the name of the story you chose in the box. So right here, story I'm responding to, I will say both. Though you are certainly welcome to pick just one. I'll go ahead and check myself off on this one. Right click, check. You will now respond to that story. Make sure your response is either, so you only have to do one of these, a 100 plus word essay or a 90 plus second long video. So you can either type out your response or you can do it verbally with a video of, by recording a video of yourself speaking to answer these questions. And your response needs to answer the following questions. First, how did the story make you feel originally? As in, how did it make you feel the first time you heard it before you knew which countries it was really talking about. Next, did your feelings change when you learned the real names of things? And if so, how did it change? Like, for example, once you knew that the United States was involved here, did that change your perspective on the event? Or did any of the others, like once you knew it was about oil, or once you knew this main subject was Iran, did that change the way you thought about things? Next, what is the point of view of the person telling the story? So, both of those stories were about the same thing. They were both about the Iranian Revolution, where Iran got rid of its old king and its old government and switched over to its modern one. But the two stories are told from very different points of view. Neither one lies, but one story has someone who is very much in favor of it telling you about it, and the other has someone who is very, very against it telling you the story about it. And I want you to be able to recognize that point of view. Hopefully, you can pick out which story is pro and which story is against the revolution. And how did this point of view affect the way the story is told? Again, there's no lies, but the stories come off sounding very differently. I want you to talk about that. Give some examples of ways in which the point of view of the storyteller affected how the story was communicated. So, you're either going to type out your response and put your response in the box here, or you're going to insert your video here. Now, I'm not going to actually create a response, but I'm going to show you how you would insert whatever you do. If you're going to type it out, I would not just type it in this box. It will be way easier if you make a Google Docs file and type it out there, or, use whatever word processing tool you like to use. So here's a Google Docs file. I will just type in this one example sentence. Okay. So there's several reasons why you might want to use Google Docs, but here's a big one. It and pretty much any other word processing program is going to be able to count the words for you. To do that in Google Docs, just click on Tools and, whoops, second thing on the list, Word Count. So I have already typed in 9 words, 9% of the way there. It's, of course, okay to go past 100. Just make sure you get yourself a minimum of 100 words. Now, once you're done typing it here, select it all and copy it. I'll hit Control C to copy. And then over here, I'm going to select everything so that it goes away. Now I'll click Control V to paste it in. So there. Once you type it out in Google Docs, it's pretty easy to just paste in here. On the other hand, if you're doing a video, if I click on the edge right here, that's going to let me delete this entire text box just by hitting delete. Now I need to insert the video. This is one of the things you'll actually need the menus for. So I'll click this down arrow so I get them. And right here, insert video. Before you can insert the video, once you have the video recorded as a computer file, upload it to your Google Drive, your school Google Drive account. Once it's in your Google Drive, just click on Google Drive and, well, it should show you all the videos it's got uploaded there. If you look, mine has a whole bunch of stuff that I've put on YouTube. So, for example, I'll just use my Canadian government video. So I'll pick that, Canadian government, select, and there we go. The video is now put down right here. Yours should, probably not be a 10-minute long video on the Canadian government, but instead be a 1.5-minute long video where you're responding to all of these questions. So that's it for page 3. Moving along, let's head to page 4. All right. On page 4, We've already looked at a historical perspective example created by Mr. Murray. Now you are going to create one of your own. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be anywhere near as long or as intricate as what I did, but let's go through the instructions. First, choose a historical event that you're familiar with. It can be one of my examples or something you picked on your own. So I've put in 4 examples that I'm guessing you guys know at least something about, or a 5th choice. You can choose any historical event that you want to. Um, but it needs to be something that where you can imagine how that event might be viewed from a different point of view. The new point of view should not be American or Texan. The new point of view should have a different perspective, that is, a different opinion about the event than an American or a Texan would. Then you'll delete all the other choices on this slide, leaving only your choice. And finally, you get to decorate this slide with a picture or two of your historical event. So I'm going to run through and do that. I have 5 choices here. I could do the American Revolution, but from the British point of view. I could do the Texan Revolution, or maybe just the Alamo specifically from the Mexican point of view. I could do the first moon landing from the point of view of a country not friendly with America. For example, if I did that, I would probably do the Soviet Union, or it's kind of like Russia, which was one of our big adversaries at the time. I could do the Boston Tea Party from the point of view of the people who owned all that tea that got tossed into the water. Or finally, any historical events you can think of from any non American point of view, but make sure their point of view of the event would be different from America's point of view. I don't want you to go out and research a new one. That's not what this project's about. This project is about taking something you already know about and thinking how another country or another group of people would perceive it differently. So pick something you're already pretty familiar with. You're allowed to go and look up additional facts if you want to, but again, ideally, you'll pick something that you already know a good bit about. For my example, I will go ahead and use the American Revolution. So that's the one I'll choose. I'll check that off. Check. I will start my imagining on how that would be different from a British point of view. I'll actually have to answer questions about that on the next page. The new point of view is definitely not American. They would definitely have a different point of view on it. Delete all other slides, or excuse me, all other choices. Can do that. If you click on kind of the edge here, then click delete, 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 delete. I'm even going to get rid of poor Mr. Elephant picture. And just to make things look decent, I will take this and stretch it out so it covers most of the rest of the page. And it's kind of like my title there. And finally, it asks me to decorate the slide with a picture or two of your historical event. There's several ways you can find pictures. Mr. Murray's old-fashioned, usually hunts them up on his own. So I'll type in American Revolution and Google. If I click on images, it's probably going to have some pictures I can choose from. I'll go ahead and choose this very first one right here. The way I can get this over to the slide, I'm going to copy it. I do that by right-clicking to get the right-click menu. Again, if you're on using a touchpad, do a 2-finger click. I pick copy image. Then I come back over here and I paste it by doing Control V. There we go. Center it right there, and boom, I've got myself a decent decorating picture. If I wanted to add some more, I certainly could. But for right now, I'll go ahead and check myself off there. And I am done with slide 4. We have just one slide to go. See you in just a second for slide 5. Okay, We have made it to slide 5. This is the very end, the last thing that you're going to have to do. So let's go through the instructions. First up, replace the temporary title here with the event you picked on the previous slide. Well, so where it says your historical event, I will replace that with American Revolution. And from a blank point of view, in my case, it'll be a British point of view. Okay. Check. Next, tell the story of the historical event you chose using your own point of view. You should either be either a 100 plus word essay or a 90 plus second video. That should sound familiar. Make sure the way you tell the story reflects the point of view of the country or group that you chose, and don't make up facts. Tell the truth even while you tell it from that point of view. So basically, what you're going to do is a very shortened version of what I did with my two stories about the Iranian Revolution. I want you to think about, in my example here, it would be the American Revolution. Think how that would seem from a British point of view. How would they look at what the Americans were doing when they tried to break away and become their own country? It's not going to be the same way that the story is usually presented to American kids as they grow up. The all of the events we had on the last page, and honestly, almost any event in history can be viewed from different points of view. And I want you to try and think about how someone who has a different perspective on the world would view that event. So I'm not going to go through all the instructions again because how you get the stuff up here, well, it's the exact same as the third slide. So go back and check that out. But either way, you are either going to have your typed response here, which I would type out in Google Docs and then paste in here, or you are going to have your video response here. Once again, just go to the part of this video where I was talking about slide 3, and it explains how to do each of those things. Okay, if you have done all that, then you are capital DONE done with this project. I hope you got some insight into how, no matter how neutral we try to be with history and events that really did occur, different groups may see those things from a different point of view than the one that we're used to using. This is an important thing to keep in mind as you're learning about anything historical or anything that's happened in the past. So, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me or whomever your teacher may be. And I'll leave you with, please stay safe and stay healthy.